Mary had a little lamb.
The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Help is on the way.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
Does anybody remember Eric Hirschman from the January 6th Select Committee investigation and any of his deposition statements? I thought you might want to hear this one as a flashback.
And was Representative Gates requesting a pardon?
Believe so. The general tone was, we may get prosecuted because we were defensive of, the president's positions on these things. The pardon that he was requesting, was as broad as you could describe. From the beginning, I remember he's from the beginning of time up until today, for any and all things. He mentioned Nixon, and I said Nixon's pardon was never nearly that broad.
And are you aware of any members of Congress seeking pardons?
I guess Mr. Gates and Mr. Brooks, I know, have both advocated for there to be a blanket pardon for members involved in that meeting, and a handful of other members that weren't at the December 21st meeting as the preemptive pardons. Mr. Gates was personally pushing for a pardon, and he was doing so since early December. I'm not sure why.
All right, then. I'm so glad that I'm here to refresh your memory of the most hated man in Congress, Matt Gaetz, trying to become the Attorney General of the United States of America. It's just, the headlines are hysterical. It's like, blowtorch, decapitation, going to cut off heads. No, he's burning it down. This is the media's moderate way of trying to tell you something, and that is that for all the people that said, well, I'm voting for Donald Trump because Donald Trump doesn't really believe any of the things he's saying. He won't really do the mass deportations. He wouldn't really blow up the Department of Justice. He wouldn't really weaponize the Department of Justice. He won't really do those things. We're wrong. He will really do those things. The entire thing about him is retribution and revenge. And he told you that, but people just didn't want to believe that a man could be so evil. They just didn't want to believe that he meant anything he was saying, anything he was promising to do. Well, I hope you now are wide awake in dreamland and you understand that he's going to do every damn thing that he said. And in case you don't remember everything that he said, the things that he said was he was going to end what he calls the deep state. There is no deep state. There is a civil service government. There is a government of people who work for the government, who could obviously, especially in the Department of Justice, get 18 times their salaries if they worked in private practice, but they exchange a 20-year career and a pension at the end of it for the private sector. That's the deal. And that's why you get lawyers like Eric Hirschman. That's why you get lawyers like Weissman. You've seen it. I mean, oh God, so amazing. So, okay. At this point, I have to tell you, Trump is trolling us, okay? But I don't mean that as just trolling, because he's going to do what he said for not just shock value, but for his revenge. For his revenge. Okay? Donald Trump is to governing what that Madison Square Garden Tony Hinchcliffe comic was to comedy. He's a hack. He's a never will be, leader. He's a wannabe edgelord, but that's what he is. Do you remember the story of ancient Rome where Caligula put his favorite horse into the Senate? Okay, hold that thought. Because You know what happened yesterday, right? Matt Gaetz. I mean, this is just an amazing story. Okay, so Matt Gaetz, obviously, today, they were going to vote in the House about whether or not to release an ethics report on Matt Gaetz, who turns out to be like quite the sex pest. I don't know if you remember this, but Matt Gaetz used to go on the floor of the House and he used to show naked pictures and greeny porn to other members of the House, to the point where they had to speak to him about his behavior that was unbecoming on the House floor, and to please stop showing naked women with hula hoops, because that's what he was doing. And he wouldn't stop. He just wouldn't stop. And then, I don't know if you remember his, do you remember his adopted son, which he never adopted? You remember Nestor? Anybody remember Nestor? So the reason why we even found out about Nestor, who at that point was a 19-year-old, who's now well into his 20s, his mid-20s, but is his ex-girlfriend's son. There is no blood between him and Nestor. Okay, but Matt Gaetz got into an argument with Cedric Richmond, who is a House member also. He's an African-American House member. And they were arguing over, what it's like to raise a black son in America. During some of the conversations about improving the justice system, making it, more equitable, making it more even, making it more, less likely that, eating a bowl of ice cream in your own apartment could end up in your death. Like that. Or just being pulled over for a taillight, violation could, lead to your death. Or sleeping could lead to your death. Breonna Taylor, right? Okay, and so they were having this conversation, and Gaetz pulls the race card and says, "You have no idea what it's like trying to raise a black son." And Cedric Richmond was like, "What? What do you do?" "Yes, he's not my blood, but he's my life." Nestor, the 19-year-old kid. I mean, it was crazy. Anyway, it turns out Nestor was really living with his girlfriend, his ex-girlfriend, and Nestor is now in his 20s, whatever. But he played everybody like that. He's such a maniacal, douche that he literally did that. He really did all these things. And now he was about to see a ethics report on his, Venmo account. And you remember he had a friend, what was his friend's name? Greenberg? Stephen Greenberg, it was like a tax collector in the county where Matt Gaetz lives. It's the same place where they filmed, what's the movie with Jim Carrey? He's like in a
Pet Detective?
No, in a reality TV show.
Oh, Truman Show.
Oh, that's like Howard's favorite movie. Yeah, so that town in Truman Show is the town where Matt Gaetz is. It is a real town in Florida. And so Matt Gaetz's friend was like the tax inspector or something. Anyway, him and his friend were kind of using Venmo to pay girls to come to, I don't know, have sex with them, service them. I don't know what you want me to say. And he got caught. And so his friend got 11 years in prison for sex trafficking. And when his friend was trying to enter into a deal for a lesser sentence, he confessed, and he named Matt Gaetz as being a partner in this endeavor and turned over the info about the Venmo account. And then the FBI was able to look at the Venmo account, and they were able to see that Matt Gaetz was making payments to girls outside of the state of Florida to cross state lines and come into Florida to, hang with him. He's a sex pest, is what I'm trying to say. The ethics report was due out. It was going to be voted on today, and then it was going to get released to the public tomorrow. All of a sudden, out of the clear blue sky, his name is put forward as being a legitimate candidate for the Attorney General of the United States. With all this history, with all of this going on, and he asked for a pardon from the White House lawyers way back in 2020, before January 6th, okay? That's the point of showing you that. And he was constantly asking for a blanket pardon, like for everything and anything that you could possibly think of, he wanted a pardon for.
all things Randi at
RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Go!
Speaking truth to power, The Randi Rhodes Show.
Senator Chris Murphy reacts.
I was walking off the Senate floor just moments ago when the news was announced. You could literally hear the jaws dropping to the floor of Republican senators who are now going to be in a position to stand up to Donald Trump in a way that they have been unwilling to. I mean, listen, Matt Gaetz is dangerously unqualified, but that's not the worst of it. Gaetz has been Trump's chief defender when it comes to Trump's assault on democracy, his attempt to overthrow the government on January 6th, and he has openly called for the abolition of law enforcement agencies if they don't get in line with conservative political priorities. This is going to be a red alert moment for American democracy.
It's all been a red alert moment for American democracy. People just don't want to believe that Donald Trump is a red alert, hair on fire for American democracy. And I don't know why. I really don't know why. Let me just tell you this. Okay. So either Donald Trump is testing not loyalty of the United States Senate with the confirmation of Matt Gaetz, a person who asked for a pardon, a person who is a sex pest, a person who actually was the lone no vote on an anti-human trafficking bill. The lone no vote. Does anybody remember who Matt Gaetz really is? I don't know. Either this is a loyalty test. It's not a loyalty. It's a fealty test. A fealty test. Like Troy Nehls. I don't know if you know. He's a backbencher, but he actually put an exclamation mark at the end of the sentence here so that you understand what this is. You need to understand what this is.
There's no question he's the leader of our party. So now he's got a mission statement, his mission, and his goals and objectives, whatever that is, we need to embrace it.
Whatever that
all
is.
of it. Every single word. If Donald Trump says jump 3 feet high and scratch your head, we all jump 3 feet high and scratch our heads. Oh! That's it.
That's it. That's it. That's not loyalty. That's fealty. Because they don't even know what the agenda is. Troy Nehls is a Republican who does not even know what Donald Trump's agenda is, but he said whatever it is, whatever Donald Trump wants, if he tells us to jump on one leg and rub your head and, pat your stomach, you learn how to do that, you do it. This is who they are. This isn't loyalty anymore. This is fealty. So do you really think that Donald Trump picked Matt Gaetz to head up the Attorney General's office because Matt Gaetz is qualified or a brilliant attorney at law? I don't even know that he has a practice or ever practiced. I don't think he has. I think his father is a real estate, I think he's a Nepo baby. His father is a very, very successful real estate magnate. Gaetz is a sex pest. He is a bully. He is a psycho. He makes up the fact that he has children that he doesn't have. But I don't think that that's what this is. Because yesterday he resigned. Matt Gaetz was named as a nominee by Donald Trump to be the Attorney General of the United States. Okay, this is equivalent to when Caligula named his favorite horse to be a senator, except that Caligula's horse had more character and principles than Matt Gaetz does. In fact, any barnyard animal has more character and principles than Matt Gaetz does. The sloppiest pig would be a better the orneriest goat. Okay, I don't really care what your favorite farm animal is. Just imagine that farm animal and Matt Gaetz, and realize that farm animal is preferable as the Attorney General of the United States. You know why? Matt Gaetz, if this is real and he really wants him, in there, and he wants him confirmed, by a loyal fealty, pledging Senate. Or if he's going to insist that John Thune to recess appointments to test John Thune's loyalty, who the hell knows, what technique or what procedure might have to be invoked in order to get Tulsi Gabbard confirmed to be the DNI. Tulsi Gabbard, who repeats Russian talking points so often that I'm thinking her teleprompter is like written in Cyrillic. But honestly, whatever procedure that they're going to try and ram these people through, Led Zeppelin is going to be head of the EPA. Led Zeppelin, anybody? Zed Leplin? What's his name? Zell. Zeldin. Lee Zeldin. Led Zeppelin. Who cares? About as effective as Jimmy Page would be. And certainly not as talented. But okay. So I'm not sure that this is anything but a loyalty test for John Thune. Okay, just John Thune, who's been made majority leader yesterday, right? I mean, all these things happen at the same time. So is he testing John Thune to see if John Thune will do recess appointments for him, because he's picking people that are obviously way out of the, I mean, they have no experience in any of these areas. They would be, you don't want to talk about weaponizing government, they would be weapons of mass destruction. Tulsi Gabbard in charge of all of our secrets, every one of our secrets. I mean, why not just, have Vlad as the DNI? Just cut out the middleman. Just go ahead and put Putin in there. I mean, honestly, you don't have to be an American citizen to be the director of national intelligence, do you? No. Okay, good. So there you go. But here's some things for you to mull over. Okay, and then you could call me and tell me what you think of my, gaming this out. I think there's a possibility that Matt Gaetz, who just won an election to the next Congress, do you see where I'm going? Resigned from this Congress to prevent the ethics report about him from becoming public. But he will then take his seat in the next Congress because he was elected to that seat anew, afresh, in this past debacle, which was called an election. That's one possibility. Because as we've learned, whatever this Congress now is doing, whatever this Congress now is, investigating, it all dies, and then the next Congress starts fresh. So that would be one way to kill the ethics report on Matt Gaetz. That's number one. Number two, anybody recall that Marco Rubio's name was floated as Secretary of State? What does that have to do with the price of rice? Well, Marco Rubio is also from Florida. Marco Rubio is a senator, one of two from Florida. What if Matt Gaetz wants to take Marco Rubio's seat in the Senate? And that's why he resigned, to kill the ethics report, so he could then mount a run for the Senate in a special election scenario and replace Marco Rubio. Okay, that's another one. What if Matt Gaetz, the most hated person in Congress, just ask Kevin McCarthy. Just ask him. Who's the most hated? Gaetz. Do you know what I'm saying? What if Matt Gaetz, the most hated person in Congress, is just a distraction for someone even worse to be appointed as Attorney General, like, Eileen Cannon? And you will be relieved if it's Eileen Cannon, because it could have been Matt Gaetz. These are all the possibilities. And I want you to understand one thing about Matt Gaetz. He's really good at politics. He's probably not good at anything else. Check his Venmo account.
Call in, connect. To speak to Randy, call 561-270-3844.
561-270-3844. Resignations from the House of Representatives are rare. Even more rare are resignations when a House member is under investigation by the House Ethics Committee. The resignation stops the investigation.
Yes, it does.
That is what Congressman Matt Gaetz hoped to achieve by his sudden resignation today while under investigation by the House Ethics Committee for possible involvement in sexual misconduct and drug use.
Oh, drug use.
Most members of Congress who resign while under investigation are never heard from again in government, except possibly at their criminal trials. Donald Trump promised we will be hearing from Matt Gaetz again by announcing him as the choice for the next Trump Attorney General. Matt Gaetz is the single most inappropriate selection for Attorney General in the history of that office at the time of his selection. Republican President Richard Nixon's first Attorney General, John Mitchell, was, of course, the worst Attorney General in history since he was convicted of crimes committed while serving as Attorney General.
That's what Bill
But at the
Barr was
time of
afraid
his selection, John Mitchell appeared to be just another Republican establishment lawyer going into a Republican administration. Unlike Matt Gaetz, John Mitchell was not under an ethics investigation when he was selected to be Attorney General. John Mitchell had never been the subject of a federal criminal investigation of sex trafficking as Matt Gaetz was. John Mitchell had never been arrested for drunk driving as Matt Gaetz was.
All right.
As shocked as Washington was yesterday with the Trump choice of a Fox weekend host for Secretary of Defense, the shock was even greater today, including among Republicans. There is no Republican member of the House of Representatives who is hated, and I mean hated, by more Republican members than Matt Gaetz.
Right. Right. So why would Trump troll his own members in the Senate who would need to confirm Matt? Obviously he couldn't have shocked the Republican Party anymore if he picked a barnyard animal. Really, if he picked like a Rhode Island Red Rooster, at least the Rhode Island Red Rooster, it would be nasty and all that, but it wouldn't be under multiple ethics investigations. That's why it's a better pick. Okay. So obviously he did this to tell everybody a thing, to signal a thing to the Senate, to the Republican Senate, to John Thune, okay? He's obviously demanding, not loyalty. We're so past loyalty now. We're on to fealty because he is the worst person to have in charge of law, to have in charge of the Department of Justice. Like I said, it's not just a weaponization of the law that would occur under the auspices of a lawless freak of nature like a Matt Gaetz. It would be a weapon of mass destruction against Americans. There would be no law. There would be no order for us. It would only exist for Donald Trump. There would be no redress of grievances. There would be no place to go. You would not have any civil rights that could be enforced any longer because those are enforced by the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division. You understand what I'm saying? And I don't know if this is like he picked the worst person in the world, who Matt Gaetz is, to head the Department of Justice, so that we would be distracted and stop worrying that he picked a Fox and Friends weekend host to be the Secretary of Defense, a man who has white supremacist tats all over his body, all over his arms, his chest, his legs, his breast, his chest area. I mean, honestly, and Matt Gaetz also is a lover. I don't know that he practices. I don't know that he does anything except play politics. But I don't know if you remember this or not. At the State of the Union address, Matt Gaetz had to invite somebody, and most people brought people who were hurricane survivors from Florida, as the Florida delegation is known to do. No, Matt Gaetz picked a white supremacist, a Christian white nationalist, as his guest at the State of the Union address. Okay, that's who he hangs with. Those are his buddies. And of course, his other buddy is in jail for 11 years. So how in the world, could this be anything other than a test? How? Or just pure politics? Because all of the things I said to you are true, and all of the things could be intertwined. Meaning, he resigned to end the ethics investigation. Now he will continue to serve in the next House, or he will run for Marco Rubio's Florida Senate seat if Marco Rubio is indeed selected as Secretary of State. Or he actually goes to become the Attorney General of the United States. These are the three, and they could all be true. They could all be, well, not being a senator and the AG, but you see where I'm going with this. It's just politics, and it's bad politics. It's evil retribution, revenge politics. You've heard of revenge porn? So has Matt Gaetz. Okay? That's what this is. Now, Scaramucci, who worked in the White House for 11 days, right? he's like he's in the same camp as me in this weird way, okay? Scaramucci and me are both sitting here scratching our head in other various body parts and going, why? When Trump said what he was going to do, when he told you it was going to be all about retribution, when he told you he was going to fire everybody in the civil service, when he told you he was going to overturn Roe v. Wade, when he told you that, he was going to deport, 11 million people, when he told you he was going to build camps, why didn't the people who voted for him believe him? That's the question of the century, isn't it?
No, Trump was very clear when he was campaigning. I'm campaigning on XYZ. He's now delivering XYZ. And so my question to his supporters is, hey, guys, I was traveling around the country speaking at places, Jake, asking people, are you taking Trump seriously? And literally 80% of the people that said they were voting for him said, no, I'm not taking him literally. Okay, well, now you're getting some literal things that he's doing. And so, you tell me, are we going to have 15 million people deported? Are you going to jack up tariffs so that lower and middle income people can't afford their expenses? Are we going to bring down the system that's worked so well for the last 250 years? You tell me, Jake. I mean, I think those are questions that people want to know the answer to.
Yes, you would think that they would want to know the answer to that before they voted. And if they listened to me or anybody on this, channel, they would have known the answer to that. And the answer was clearly, yes, he's going to burn it all down. Because if he can't have it, nobody can. Okay? And he needed to stay out of jail, which is why he needed to be in the office. But he hates America. He trash talks America constantly. He hates it because it held him accountable at long last, or tried to. But he actually, managed to delay and outsmart the entire system. Now he's in the system, and he wants it burned down to the ground so it never gets close ever again to holding him or any of his, cronies accountable for anything. He said that, one of the problems we had were with people who came from businesses into the regulatory commissions to regulate the businesses that they used to work in. Elon Musk.
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
I think the key thing for us now as Democrats is to get ready for an absolute tsunami of corruption coming out of this new administration. We know that Trump is corrupt. It's his nature. It's his character. We know the Republican Party is corrupt about climate change. They were bought by the fossil fuel industry a decade ago. We know that they've corrupted the United States Supreme Court. And we know that when you let the billionaires near power, they plunder the place with tax cuts for themselves and licenses to pollute. So we know what's coming. And I think right now, the important thing is to look forward, be ready for that, point it out, and not let them get away with it.
Not let them get away with it. And billionaires, he had Elon Musk on the phone with he and Zelensky. That ought to tell you something.
Elon's in all the meetings. Elon is in every one of the meetings. Elon is in meetings about how to regulate Elon. Elon is heading up a Department of Government Efficiency as Elon is the recipient of $15 billion, yes, $15 billion in government grants. And he's redundant. So his efficiency squad really ought to check off the box at the top of the list of things not to do, like don't repeat the same work in multiple offices, check that box off, and then remove himself from his efficiency, department, because we have an efficiency department. It's called the General Accounting Office. Yes, we have a GAO. I just thought I would pull the little mission statement for the GAO. Like, what do they do all day? And, you remember when we used to have the pork report all the time, and Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics. You have the government waste groups all over this place. But the GAO is the government department that is charged with auditing agency operations to determine whether federal funds are being spent efficiently and effectively. Elon, you're freaking redundant, dude. You douchebag. Investigating allegations of illegal and improper activities. Oh, well, hello. Hello, burrow in there. Reports on how well government programs and policies meet their objectives. Performs policy analysis and outlines options for congressional consideration. Issues legal decisions and opinions. Can't have that. Advises Congress and the heads of the executive agencies about ways to make government more efficient and effective. Why do we need Elon and Vivek Ramaswamy presiding over what to cut in government in the name of efficiency when we have the general accounting orifice? If it sounds similar to what Elon Musk described when he was talking about Doge, it's because it is. Exactly. This was a fancy way to include a guy who has multiple businesses that receive tons of government money, multiple billions, tens of billions would be an understatement of government money that goes to Elon Musk's companies like SpaceX and the classified information that comes with it. But it wasn't enough for him. You know why? Here's the argument I heard. It's just I did a spit take, truly. I had coffee in my mouth, and somebody said, "Well, the reason why you pick the richest man in the world is because he has everything and he has nothing to gain. So you pick him to do all of these jobs because there's nothing in it for him. He's completely uncompromised." Don't you get it? That it's never enough, number one, when you're operating at the 250 billion plus level. Is never going to be enough. You want it all at that point. And number two, it isn't really about money at that point either. It's about power. And Elon Musk cannot be president of the United States. You know why? Yes, you do. Because Elon Musk is not a citizen. He's not a naturally born American citizen. Elon Musk is from South Africa. So is Peter Thiel. So Elon Musk is the president and Peter Thiel is the vice president. And we know this because Peter Thiel purchased J.D. Vance in advance. And I'm telling you right now, no good will come from it. No good at all. We're not about to see, a rebirth of the American middle class. We're about to see a National Labor Relations Board with somebody who is about the most anti-union person you could figure, you could pick. Like, I don't know, oh, he died, so it would be a safe thing to use him as an example because he's dead. But the founder of Home Depot, okay, just died. I think he was like 196 years old or something like that. I don't know if he preserved his body in cryogenics or anything like that, but he died. Okay, these are the anti-union big business guys, and it's like putting them in charge of the National Labor Relations Board and expecting that collective bargaining is going to have a resurgence in this here country. Please. Spare me this. Why didn't you believe him when he told you what he was going to do? This is really interesting. I've had this clip for a really long time, and I don't play it. I never did because it's 3 minutes, and I consider your attention span, for the most part, to be about a minute, clip-wise. Sometimes I'll do 2, but really very rarely more than that. Okay? This one's 3. Ooh. And this is Donald Trump telling the people of the United States what he's going to do.
Here's my plan to dismantle the deep state and reclaim our democracy from Washington corruption once and for all. And corruption it is. First, I will immediately reissue my 2020 executive order restoring the president's authority to remove rogue bureaucrats, and I will wield that power very aggressively. Second, we will clean out all of the corrupt actors in our national security and intelligence apparatus, and there are plenty of them. The departments and agencies that have been weaponized will be completely overhauled so that faceless bureaucrats will never again be able to target and persecute conservatives, Christians, or the left's political enemies, which they're doing now at a level that nobody can believe.
Yeah, because it's
even
not happening
possible.
at all.
Third, we will totally reform FISA courts, which are so corrupt that the judges seemingly do not care when they are lied to in warrant applications. So many judges have seen so many applications that they know were wrong, or at least they must have known. They do nothing about it. They're
I just have to interrupt you here because that's such a deep in the weeds kind of a thought. The FISA court was presented a third application. It was a renewal. It wasn't a fresh application. It was a renewal of an application, and it had a typo in it. It had a typo. And the person who typed it up, the agent that typed it up and gave it to this was not a new request. This was a renewal of a request. Back in the Russia investigation days, where 37 people were indicted, Donald Trump, 10 instances of obstruction of justice. This was one of them. 13 St. Petersburg troll farm operators were putting Russian memes and Russian disinformation on Facebook back in the day. Chris Wiley, remember the guy from Cambridge Analytica, tried to warn us about this. Remember the guy with the orange hair? Some days it was green, some days it was very cute. That guy tried to tell you what was going on, and it was all at the behest of a Russian professor, right? A Russian professor who told Cambridge Analytica that they could psychologically profile Americans and then actually program their feeds to comport with their opinions about Donald Trump or against Donald Trump and for Hillary Clinton. And they could make Hillary Clinton into a dying, satanic murderess, which is what they did. So now it's all an algorithm. You don't even need to do what Cambridge Analytica did. You don't even need to, because it was all dreamt up. It was all dreamt up back then in like 2014, 15. And now Elon deploys this algorithm against American voters on Twitter, which, by the way, everyone is leaving. Everyone is leaving. 1 million people left Twitter just in the last 2 days. 1 million people. It's quite an exodus. They're going to a platform called Blue Sky, which looks just like Twitter, operates just like Twitter, except instead of the little blue birdie, it's a blue butterfly. I'm on it. I went there. I'm there. It's Randi Rhodes at Blue Sky. So just Randi Rhodes, just search it on Blue Sky. And Blue Sky signing up, it literally takes 5 seconds. 5 seconds. It's really simple. So do that. But honestly, these were his priorities. Purge the government of anybody who might be able to hold him accountable. He told you, but wait, there's more.
Mary had a little man. The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe it.
Help is on the way.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
And we continue.
Here's my plan to dismantle the deep state and reclaim our democracy from Washington corruption once and for all. And corruption it is. First, I will immediately reissue my 2020 executive order restoring the president's authority to remove rogue bureaucrats, and I will wield that power very aggressively.
Schedule F.
Second, we will clean out all of the corrupt actors in our national security and intelligence apparatus, and there are plenty of them.
Vintman.
The departments and agencies that have been weaponized will be completely overhauled so that faceless bureaucrats will never again be able to target and persecute conservatives, Christians, or the left's political enemies, which they're doing now at a level that nobody can believe,
because it's
even
not believable.
Third, we will totally reform FISA courts, which are so corrupt that the judges seemingly do not care when they are lied to in warrant applications. So many judges have seen so many applications that they know were wrong, or at least they must have known. They do nothing about it.
It's
They're
one
lied
court.
to. Fourth, to expose the hoaxes and abuses of power that have been tearing our country apart, we will establish a Truth and Reconciliation Commission to declassify and publish all documents on deep state spying, censorship, and corruption. And there are plenty of them. Fifth, we will launch a major crackdown on government leakers who collude with the fake news to deliberately weave false narratives and to subvert our government and our democracy. When possible, we will press criminal charges. Sixth, we will make every Inspector General's office independent and physically separated from the departments they oversee, so they do not become the protectors of the deep state.
Okay, no IGs.
Seventh, I will ask Congress to establish an independent auditing system to continually monitor our intelligence agencies to ensure they are not spying on our citizens or running disinformation campaigns against the American people, or that they are not spying on someone's campaign like they spied on my campaign.
They did not.
Eighth, we will continue the effort launched by the Trump administration to move parts of the sprawling federal bureaucracy to new locations outside the Washington swamp. Just as I moved the Bureau of Land Management to Colorado, as many as 100,000 government positions could be moved out, and I mean immediately, of Washington to places filled with patriots who love America, and they really do love America. Ninth, I will work to ban federal bureaucrats from taking jobs at the companies they deal with and that they regulate. So they deal with these companies and they regulate these companies, and then they want to take jobs from these companies.
Elon.
Doesn't work that way.
No, they own these companies.
Public display cannot go on, and it's taking place all the time, like with Big Pharma. Finally, I will push a constitutional amendment to impose term limits on members of Congress. This is how I will shatter the deep state and restore government that is controlled by the people and for the people. Thank you very much.
Nothing about the border, nothing about immigration, nothing about it's all about him. You understand? Every single thing in that long ass list of things that he's going to fix. Actually, you can already see he talked about big pharma. Vivek Ramaswamy is a pharma bro, and him and Elon Musk, who is a social media bro, a Silicon Valley bro, and Peter Thiel, who's also a Silicon Valley bro. They are inside our government right now, getting rid of regulations that they don't like that affects their companies. So you can already see everything that he's saying he will fix, he's going to make worse. There is a word, I don't like this word because, the elite words like there's this expression, stochastic terrorism. And I don't like the word stochastic because I'm from Brooklyn and I never use words like that. Okay? However, it means, like talking through a big bullhorn and freaking people out so that you hope that maybe one or two of the people that you're reaching in this mass crowd with your bullhorn will go do the terrorist thing. They will go do the bad thing. They will go do the harm thing. But it's not you telling them to do it, see? So you aren't the terrorist. You're just promoting terrorism. So it's called stochastic terrorism. I hate that because I never used that word in my life. Okay, here's another one I never used in my whole freaking life, but it's one of those big ass elite words that actually captures what's going on. It's called kakistocracy. Yes, it is. It's called kakistocracy. You could Google it, and it will tell you it's government by the worst people possible. That's what it means. The etymology of the word is from the Greek kakis, which means bad. Do you know that Matt Gaetz' own law school, he went to William and Mary, okay? His own law school actually signed a petition saying that he should not, he's not anybody that they recognize as being part of the William and Mary tradition of lawyering, that they instill in their young budding lawyers citizen lawyer citizen lawyer, meaning you need to be a person who advocates for equal justice under the law, and you need to be one of the citizens that practice the legal profession. They signed a petition saying that they would have nothing to do with him. Let me, this is not new either. This is old, okay? This is from, oh, it is new. This is today. The House Ethics Committee, blah, blah, blah. Gates is a staunch defender of Trump. Oh, 2021. Okay, I knew it wasn't new. In 2021, hundreds of students and alumni at William and Mary signed a petition calling for Gates' resignation. Well, they got it yesterday. After Gates voted against certifying the 2020 election results. Quote, William and Mary Law teaches its students to be citizen lawyers, leaders in our community, and passionate advocates for equality and social justice. Representative Gates is the antithesis of a citizen lawyer, and he cannot be trusted with the laws of our nation, states the letter. Okay, then I look up the meaning of kakistocracy, government by the least suitable or competent citizens of a state. Guess they knew a little thing about him, a little thing about what they were talking about. That's what we're doing here. That is what we're doing. They're blowing it up. You understand? And this is breaking news. And I mean, we called this one too. This is not. I don't see why this is newsy. I see why it's news, but Donald Trump just offered the Health and Human Services Administration, the Secretary's role of Health and Human Services, to Robert F. Kennedy Jr. because he's such a picture of health, everybody. We all want to be like that, including mental health. I mean, who's better situated than RFK to spot mental illness? I mean, yeah. RFK at Health and Human Services, which means, CDC, NIH, National Institutes of Health. What could go wrong there? What could possibly go wrong there? What? No vaccines are safe and efficacious. No. And, they do want to prosecute Anthony Fauci for murder, for mass murder. Mm-hmm. They do. Elon is going to cut waste, about $2 trillion out of our $6 trillion budget, which is a third of the government. A third of the government has got to go. Hence, he warns you, you will all suffer. You will all suffer. He told you that. People don't believe it when people tell you, you will all suffer. But he did tell you, you will all suffer. And if you want to see what it looks like, check out Argentina, because that's where all of this was being tried, sort of like what we did in Chile with Milton Friedman's supply side economics. It's all, documented in a book called The Shock Doctrine by Naomi Klein. I don't know if you ever read or partook, but it's a good one. This is what's going on in Argentina, which is also an experiment. It left 50% of the population in poverty.
Clear for
on TV.
All things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
It must be the worst nomination for a cabinet position in American history. I think this is something that falls well outside the scope of deference that should be given to a president in nominating members of his senior team. Gates is not only totally incompetent for this job, he doesn't have the character. He is a person of moral turpitude. And notwithstanding how difficult it may be politically, this is a nomination the Republican Party should oppose.
What about RFK at Health and Human Services? John Bolton, who, by the way, wanted to chop off like 11 floors of the United Nations when he was in charge of things over there at the White House with W. These are fabulous people. Oh yeah, they're all so. But I just want you to understand, this is not a meritocracy anymore. It's a kakistocracy. That is the actual opposite of meritocracy. If it were a meritocracy, then we would be talking about Nikki Haley being considered to be the Secretary of State. Why? Because Nikki Haley was the UN ambassador, and Nikki Haley is somebody that has a level head. She's very smart, but Donald Trump doesn't like her anymore. Why? Because she had the temerity to run against him. She supported him in the end. Her judgment is, kind of interesting. It's worth a little look-see. She said that, Donald Trump represents all the things that she told her children in kindergarten not to be. Okay, she said that at the beginning. Then she endorsed him. Then he wasn't president anymore. She ran for president. She literally had a large percentage of the Republican, voting population with her. And Donald Trump would have benefited from embracing her, but he knew something that we didn't know, which was he had enough votes. Now, I don't know how he knew that, and I don't know who was telling him that, but in the end, it turned out to be absolutely true. So now he can marginalize and penalize and all those things. Nikki Haley, who would make a decent Secretary of State in this particular arena of, picks, right? But no, because he needs to punish her. Because everything with him is about retribution. Everything with him is about revenge. So there you have it. I don't know why people aren't believing what he's doing. He told you what he was going to do. He said he was going to fire every single bureaucrat, which is a civil servant to some. People who rely on experts in the National Institutes of Health, who rely on virologists at the CDC, who rely on experts at the CISA, which is a security agency that makes sure that we're not being hacked or listened in on or spied upon or whatever, right? And that our elections are separate and apart from the internet, meaning our voting machines are not plugged into the internet. So, but here's a little thing, I'm going to creep you out, okay, because I can. So I'd be the first person to tell you that you can't rig an election, at the polling place because the machines are not connected to the internet. And so whenever you hear a report, they're flipping the votes. Well, you know what? Almost everybody votes with a paper receipt, if not paper in the first place, right? Like, what's that place? Dixon Notch or whatever, the first in the country to vote. There's 6 people, a piece of paper, and Dixville Notch. Where is it? In New Hampshire or something like that? Yeah, it's cute. So, but I know I vote on a machine, but the machine spits out a piece of paper. And then I can look at the piece of paper and make sure it represented what I chose on the machine. And if it did, then I feed it into a machine. And the machine actually scans my paper and separates the tabulation from the paper in case we need to do a recount, as they are doing in Pennsylvania. And not because anybody asked for one, because it's the law. Just so you know. So in Pennsylvania, you've got Dave McCormick, the Republican, and Bob Casey, the Democrat, who, by the way, Bob Casey secured over 1 million union workers' pensions in Pennsylvania. And he lost to a guy named Dave McCormick, who I believe is a car salesman. Good choice, PA, really good. But the reason why there's a recount there is because if something falls within a 0.5 percentage point or less, there's an automatic state-required recount. No one thinks that Bob Casey is going to prevail in this recount. McCormick will be the Republican senator from Pennsylvania. Why do I know that? Well, they've had 4 recounts before, and always the person who was leading going into the recount is the winner. So McCormick is in the lead by, I think, 30,000 votes, and he will be the Republican senator from Pennsylvania. Bob Casey has been defeated. That's just the thing, okay? But when you look at how do you rig an election, okay, so can't happen at the polling place, can't happen on the machine you're voting on, right? Because it's not connected to the internet. But how does everybody get the numbers to the Secretary of State's office? Oh, it goes over the transom of the information superhighway? Just something to think about. Just something to I'm not saying a thing. I'm not accusing anybody of no damn thing. That would not be like me, would it? No. No. But there is an opportunity for the computer to get involved in the transmission of the results. Yeah, that does happen. But okay. Maybe the places that got the bomb threats should be hand recounted. I don't know. I'm just saying. But he knew something. You know, Donald Trump knew something. He knew something about didn't need any more votes, so he could actually give the cold shoulder to Nikki Haley and not worry two seconds about it. And he did that. Now, you know, if he would have embraced her in any way, either made her the vice presidential nominee or said, you know, when we're president, Nikki Haley will be the next Secretary of State, or any of those things would have been totally doable. But instead, he's a vengeful, bitter old bitch. And so he had to punish her. And she's been left out in the great meritocracy of America. And instead of her, we're getting Marco Rubio. Now, she was, may I remind you, the United States ambassador to the UN, a place John Bolton would have chopped 11 floors off of, and everyone in that Republican Party despises. And it just may be broken at this point. It may be. It may have been, so inept in the current scenario, meaning Russia is on the National Security Council, China is on the National Security Council, and they can veto war, they can veto, retaliation against Russia invading a democracy in Europe, So maybe it is broken. But he had to punish her because in a meritocracy, she would have been the nominee to be his Secretary of State. But she's not.
Connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
Right now, it's being reported, not by the War Room, we're repeating what other news sources are saying. It looks like Kash Patel may be the new director of the FBI.
Oh, my
and
God.
Tulsi Gabbard may be the new head of DNI, the director of national intelligence, which, as you know, all 17 intelligence agencies, including the Central Intelligence Agency, report up to that.
Kakistocracy. A medic in the National Guard who was a congressperson is now going to head up the intelligence, the 16th. She's going to sit on top of all the intelligence agency. Like I said, just put Putin in there. Just put him in there. Cut out the middleman. Because she, as you know, she's praised Bashir al-Assad when he gassed those kids. She said she went there. She met with him. It's like I could see his soul. One of those moments, right? She vouched for Bashir al-Assad, vouched for him. People walking around going, we didn't have any war when Trump was president. We had 3, actually, going on. But I just, that we were actually involved in. But she is just, wow. And now they're talking to me about Kash Patel. Okay, Kash Patel. I don't know what his qualifications are to, be the head of the FBI. Not really, really sure. But, if Matt Gaetz is his boss, how could that go wrong? Yeah. So the Department of Justice oversees the FBI, and that would be great. And, having Kash Patel in the here's his view. Okay.
The FBI's footprint has gotten so freaking big, and the biggest problem the FBI has come out of its intel shops. I'd break that component out of it. I'd shut down the FBI Hoover building on day one and reopening the next day as a museum of the deep state. And I'd take the 7,000 employees that work in that building and send them across America to chase down criminals. Go be cops. You're cops. Go be cops. Go chase down murderers and drug dealers and violent offenders. What do you need 7,000 people there for? Same thing with DOJ. What are all these people doing here? Looking for their next government promotion, looking for their next fancy government title, looking for their parachute out of government. So while you're bringing in the right people, you also have to shrink government.
So, Cash, I thought that those people in the intel division of the FBI were actually looking for like drug cartels. You know, I thought they were looking for the next fentanyl shipment. I thought they were looking for, methamphetamine, cartels and probably the odd terrorist or two. Isn't that a version of defund the police? Huh. I think that's what he's saying. We don't need no stinking police. We'll be the police. What? Yeah, I thought the FBI actually did things like investigations. That's why they're called the Federal Bureau of Investigation. I thought they investigated things. I didn't know that they went out and arrested people as the primary, investigatory tool. Isn't that fascinating? I also think that they did things like prosecute Sam Bankman-Fried and crypto scams and insider trading and green mail and all those things. They just want to steal, and they cannot have the FBI doing its job. They cannot, because they're going to steal us blind. This is what you do. You go into the agencies, and you corrupt them, and then there's no one sitting on that wall, okay? And you order a code red every day. Every day. And you tell people you can't handle the truth. You can't. And the truth is, we're a bunch of criminals. We told you we were. You didn't want to believe us then. Do you believe us now? Get a load of us now. True. I mean, this list of clowns, this list of the worst possible people is getting... Okay, here's the tippy top, okay, of corruption. And here's the next one I'm looking for, okay? Who's going to be the Treasury Secretary? Okay. Ed in Chicago.
Hey, Randy. I was just thinking, remember how nice it was?
Are you my Ed? Are you Brett's Ed?
Yes, I'm...
You know your
I'm your Packard.
You know your photograph of it's like a highway with headlights that you sent me?
Oh, I sent you some. I'm trying to think.
If I could get up, I can't get up now, but if I could get up, I would go get it for you and I would show it to you. It's right there on my shelf. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you like them.
I like them.
Oh, there's more to come. I was just thinking, remember in the good old days of Biden when, you'd do your thing, but then you'd be gardening or going for a walk or whatever, and you wouldn't be going crazy every 5 minutes, and now we're back to 4 years of that. Anyway, the reason I'm calling is I'm wondering about the Internet.
Okay.
Is there anything to prevent Trump and his buddies from turning our Internet into like a Chinese-style Internet where it's heavily censored?
No.
Oh, God.
No.
I was hoping you were going to tell me I'm being paranoid, but these days I don't think that.
No, you're not being paranoid. They're giving all of the levers of power and regulation to Elon Musk when it comes to the internet. Peter Thiel when it comes to the internet.
That's what I was thinking, and I'm thinking I haven't heard anybody talking about that, and I'm thinking, oh crap, what's?
I mean, if you want to see the effect that they are going for, look no further than what happened in this election. Okay, the algorithm on Twitter was completely upended, so that like if I followed you on Twitter, I don't see your posts when I log on anymore. I see whatever Elon wants me to see. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Right. And
no, I'm just wondering about censorship of shows and that sort of thing.
Oh, they don't even have to go like that route. They can just program an algorithm into the whole the system and only show you what they want you to see and never show you anything that they don't want you to see. That is possible on the internet. And then the heavy lift becomes, what does media do about it? What does radio.
Oh, that's
right. Radio.
That's my concern.
Yeah, well, we can only do what's, what is available to report is going to be newspapers, right? It's only going to be, journalists. And, if journalists start to say, well, there's no money in journalism anymore, everybody's getting laid off, newsrooms are shutting down because they're run by internet titans like Jeff Bezos, who refuse to endorse Kamala Harris over this crook, over this creep, because he didn't want any, untoward, look at his paper. If they start to anticipatorily acquiesce like Bezos did, then where am I going to get good information from?
No. Like I say, I've been thinking. Well, like I said, I've just been wondering what's gonna prevent them from turning us into like a Chinese-style internet.
Nothing, absolutely nothing. That's what kakistocracies are all about. Okay, Russia is a kakistocracy. I forget who else. I mean, there's a nice short list because it's not. Oh, they say fascist Italy, fascist Spain. Those are kakistocracies. Yay! I'm so excited. I don't know. What do you wear in the camp these days? What do we wear? I don't know. I'm not sure.
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
This one, Ed. This picture. I love this picture. It has a nice purple sky. Looks like when I drove a truck. So it's moody. It's a moody, snapshot. Yeah, Ed takes great photographs, and he usually makes them into like cards, like note cards. Really nice. And sends them to me all the time. All the time. I have more note cards than I have people to send notes to. So therefore, if you'd like some note cards, I would be happy to send you some, courtesy of Ed's photography, because they're beautiful. They really are good. Really good. All right. I was going to tell you something. Oh, yeah. I know. So here's what we do, Ed. Here's what we do. Take the blue pill. Yeah, I don't mean the blue chew. I don't mean that one. I don't mean, the Cialis, the Viagra. No, I mean the Matrix, okay? The red pill was for philosophical and critical thinking. It was for, forging your way into what was real, knowing the difference between reality and unreality. And the blue pill was to continue on believing the illusion. America likes to think that it's been red-pilled by Donald Trump, but it's been blue-pilled. It makes all of its decisions based on an illusion and emotions. Feelings. It makes no decision based on critical thinking skills or historical knowledge. That actually is banned or will be banned in schools across this country. We've all been blue-pilled by the red party, okay? I know it's hard to, understand for real what's happened unless you make it nice and simple. Cookie. Blue pill, please, next time, okay? Because we totally failed at critical thinking. We totally failed at figuring out reality. We totally wanted to be lulled into the sense of an illusion where feelings mattered more. I remember when that party used to say, F your feelings, F your feelings. Now everything they do is based on their feeling. It's not based on, crime is at an unbelievable low, especially violent crime in this country is so low. It's almost undetectable at this point. Except for the odd person who kills their family. Yeah, and not exactly immigrants. So you have that. And then you have the border. Actually, you had less encounters at the border in the last year than you did in Donald Trump's last year in office, which was a COVID year. People they can't accept the facts. They want to feel a certain way, and he's telling them how to feel, and he's telling them, be afraid, be very, very afraid. He's been doing this for almost 10 years at this point, and the chaos is about to resume. So now, in front of your face, he's actually inviting the owners of the internet to regulate the internet. And my friend Ed, who takes gorgeous pictures and is a nice guy and helps Brett process that he's a Bears fan.
He sends me these bear parody songs, and, my Bears are about to get killed by his Packers this weekend, and I'm going to hear from Ed.
Hey, man, the Dolphins. I mean, the only reason why the Bears exist is to make the Dolphins look good. Okay.
We make everybody, including the Dolphins,
That's
look
true.
good.
That's
It's
very
crazy.
true. That's very true. Kansas City, man. Holy crap. So why didn't Taylor Swift magic rub off on, the election? I don't know. Victor in Oregon.
Hey, Randi Rhodes, my favorite all-time guest, host.
Oh, thanks.
Host with the mostest.
That's
me. I think everybody's overreacting here.
Yeah.
Kash Patel is no different than Christopher Wray, and and listen.
Why?
Matt Gaetz was no different than William Barr or Merrick Garland.
Is Christopher Wray an ideologue, or is he just, a button-down, like kind of a FBI guy?
He's a Trump sycophant, and he was put in there to cover up.
Well,
Donald
Trump hired him, but you know what? He fired Comey because he should have kissed Comey's ass. He really should have, because he was the president because of Comey. I don't know whether
exactly
right he was.
But the trouble with Comey is he would not stop the Russian investigation.
Because it needed to happen. You got 37 convictions. You got troll farms in Russia ID'd and identified it. We found out what happened to us. We found out that Donald Trump obstructed justice 10 different times. So
at the time, though, Donald Trump didn't know that, because Donald Trump is basically an idiot, and he's a flunky for
he knew what he
corporate
did,
elite.
but he knew what he did. He knew what he was trying to do. What he was really trying to do, and I think it shocked him that he won, but what he was trying to do was build a Moscow Trump Tower. That's what he was trying to do. Michael Cohen was the go-to guy on that particular thing. And, along the way, they met Lev Parnas and they met Igor Fruman. And they started to tell him, hey, look, we got this way that you could actually win. You could actually become the president.
Nothing happened until William Barr became Attorney General. And he covered up the Mueller report.
Yes, he did. No doubt about it.
And still redacted.
Yeah.
And, how can Matt Gaetz do any worse?
No, please, don't ask that question, because you'll find out. Don't ask.
No, they can't. The Constitution will prevent.
Oh, they can.
We all have freedom of speech, and you have freedom of press. They're not going to come after you.
It's an illusion.
That's fear-mongering.
It's an illusion. Me? Oh, no, they're not going to come after me. I'm little. I'm small potatoes. They will yank the license of one giant organization. I don't know if it'll be... He hates CBS, okay? So I don't know if it'll be CBS or ABC or NBC.
No. You guys...
Yeah,
this is all a pipe dream of Donald Trump and fear-mongering.
Bet me.
You know when he starts spewing hate and fear, it's all BS.
Bet me.
I'll bet you.
Okay,
honey.
how much?
Whatever you want.
Let's do a friendly $10 bet, okay?
Okay, that sounds good.
All right, so what are we betting? What are we actually? What is the bet? What is that would happen? I say we should bet that he yanks at least one major media license.
Okay, I say 0, and I say that Donald Trump is not going to do anything that he hadn't done in the last 4 years when he was installed as president.
So
nothing is going to be any different than it was back then, and the economy is going to end up crashing, and Donald Trump is going to take credit for the Biden best economy in history, and they'll go on for 6 months, maybe a year, until the Republicans start stealing again from the people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the way it is. But we still got the Constitution behind us, and there's nothing they can do. What they're going to do is spend 4 years.
Question: who enforces the Constitution?
The people.
No, the Supreme Court.
Okay, to a certain extent, that's true, but they're not going to be able to override the Constitution. I don't think that they're going to take away anyone's freedom.
If you have more faith in the people than the Supreme Court, that's wonderful. But let's say the people push back. Let's say they do. Let's say freedom of speech is somehow, chilled. I won't say stopped, but chilled by pulling the license of a news organization, a big one, okay? And that has a chilling effect on all media. So let's
They
say
would
that
have to
happens.
commit a crime.
No. So let's say that
Okay, go
happens,
ahead.
and the people push back, right? The people protest, and they're angry, and they,
Yeah,
what happens with the Insurrection Act at that point?
nothing, because you can't invoke the Insurrection Act unless there is actual violence and danger. But a peaceful protest, as President Biden pointed out, is what is allowed in the
Okay, so
Constitution.
let's say that the people protest and I don't know, they set a building on fire because they just do. Not that I'm condoning it. I think that's awful. I think that's a loser. I think that's a bad, violent act. But let's say that
Well, you mean
happens.
like in Portland when
Yes.
it was actually
Yes.
Republicans that
Yes.
set buildings on fire?
Yes, exactly. The auto zone in Minneapolis, Republican, right?
Yeah, but if anything like that happens,
if that happens, and then that particular activity causes an invocation of the Insurrection Act, who enforces the Constitution? The Supreme Court.
think, but the trouble is, who's going to enforce the insurrection?
All right, so
That's the point.
I'm down.
And the military will not.
Listen, we're out of time. This was a great
Okay,
conclusion
the
to the show.
military will not.
Okay,
Randy Rhodes,
okay,
$10
Victor,
and a date.
Victor, $10, you and me.
And a date.
No. That would make me a hooah. I'm not a hooah.
Well.
Well.
Does he want to fight Howard? What is going on right now?
I'm flattered, but no.